Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the...
Welcome in. It's a must-win Tuesday. Must-win. Game 2, Grizz Warriors, late night at FedEx Forum. So we have drama tonight for sure, but there's drama in the sporting world today. Brett McMurphy, who breaks a lot of stories when it comes to college athletics, says the schools Cincinnati, Houston, UCF, I think BYU is thrown in there as well, are in the midst of negotiations to join the Big 12 as early as next year. That is not this football season, which the way it was worded to begin with was I was thinking, well, the schedules are already out. How could they possibly play next year? But it's for 2023. So, folks, enjoy this league, which has been, in my mind, an enjoyable conference. Enjoy this league while you got it, because it's only going to last one more year. UCF and Houston will be coming to Memphis to play football. Enjoy that, because I don't know that we'll see them again unless Memphis does get into the Big 12 eventually. We will chat tomorrow in Phoenix with Steve Earhart from the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. The Big Cheese, the head honcho, is in Phoenix for the Big 12 meetings. He's actually playing with a couple of Big 12 ADs today. So we'll get his take on all of this and where Memphis may stand. Although when chatting with him early this morning when the Brett McMurphy story broke, he basically said they're focused on getting BYU, Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston in. They're not thinking beyond that at this moment, but I'm sure that those discussions will come up. But back to the Grizz tonight. I've been searching JMO. Oh, by the way, JMO back after the ravages of food poisoning. You look the same, though. I got to tell you, you didn't really lose much weight.
Unfortunately not. I wish I would have lost a little bit, but unfortunately, diet and exercise seem the only way to do that nowadays.
Yeah. Well, food poisoning, I guess, could be your jump start.
That's right.
There you go. You feel okay?
I feel much better, yeah.
All right, good.
Night and day better.
Glad to hear that. All right. I've been scouring. I can't find any info on the re-entry into the roster of one New Zealander named Steven Adams. Is Steven Adams able to go in this game? Because Steven Adams, who was a bad matchup in the Minnesota series, is a terrific matchup on paper in this series. We already saw how Triple J can dominate inside, but rebounds, I thought, really were what cost the Grizzlies in Game 1, especially at the end. They had 4 shots at the bucket when finally Klay Thompson hit the dagger 3 that ultimately was the winning margin. If they hadn't had a void inside as a rebounding machine, Steven Adams, that might not have occurred. I think that would be a big help if Adams is able to play, especially in critical moments. He was going through COVID protocol. We know that. But it seems to me, it's 5 days now, right? It seems to me the 5 days would be up, but I can't find any info on whether or not he's eligible to play today.
Covered in secrecy, I guess is the way to put it. You're right. There's nothing that's been said about what's going to happen. I tend to agree with you. He should play tonight. And you're right about that rebounding being a huge help. But on the other hand, a lot of those rebounds and those opportunities were created by Gary Payton II, who's only 6'3", 6'4" player. Not to say Steven Adams wouldn't help with that, but that's a guard. It was right around around when those rebounds, offensive rebounds, where they had like 8 shots, it seemed like, on that one possession towards the end of the game, that's kind of when I decided, wow, the Warriors might win the NBA championship making plays like that.
Yeah. And Steve Kerr is a smart guy. There's no question about it. I mean, Gary Payton hadn't started much this year.
No.
He started because they wanted him on Ja. The keys for me will be, can you stop those offensive rebounds, one. And I think you can, and I think Adams goes a long way at helping you in this series if he's able to play. And then the other is you're going to get more out of Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks. I said this yesterday. You were not here. You know, Brooks should really focus on stopping Steph or Poole and less shooting. Even though he only took 13 shots, which is not outrageous, not like 20 or 22 shots, which he's capable of taking. But when you're 3 of 13, maybe you should say, tonight's not my night. Let me focus on something else. And I think you'll get more out of him on the offensive side. I can't believe you'll see, again, 6 out of, 23 out of those 2 guys. That's got to go up for sure. Is Jordan Poole going to be a 30-point guy in this series the whole way? It's very possible that he will be because he was that good. You know, this is the one thing sometimes they tell you the philosophy. When one door shuts, another one opens, right? That's how you try to look at it positively if you're a Dale Carnegie kind of a guy. Half full glass. I try to be that way. I think that's the best way you should live. But when Steph Curry got hurt, another door was open because they started giving the ball to Jordan Poole, who, by the way, is a good story in his own right because he wasn't like this heralded guy who came in and was a superstar right off the bat, like Ja Morant, let's just say. And, you know, Ja's a unique story, too, because, let's face it, he came from Murray State. He in 2 years, he built himself into the number 2 overall pick. Poole never did that. Poole came in and is a late bloomer, given the opportunity that he was given because of the Curry injury. Poole has become a star in his own right. It's a little like Burleson at Dallas, who's going to make a lot of money, who was a late second-round draft pick and has become a great player in the NBA. You never know, really. And some of it is team fit. Like, if I were a player, I'd want to go, especially if I'm a shooting guard, I want to go to the Golden State Warriors because, man, they develop you.
Well, even Poole, in regards to where he was in college, has come a long way. Certainly not even just in the NBA. He wouldn't. I mean, if you would have asked anybody him scoring like this when he was in college, you would have said he was crazy to be able to play like this.
I'm trying to remember, where did he go to college?
He went to Michigan.
Michigan.
And so I mean, not that he wasn't good at Michigan,
Right.
but it wasn't anything like this at all. He's come a really long way even since then. But you look at the Warriors, and the perimeter defense of this team is going to be Josh Skills scored 30 points, so it's not that good. But I mean, the perimeter defense of this team is really going to be a problem, I think, for Bane and Dylan Brooks. And you like you said, you hope that not one of them gets going if the other one's not. You hope they both don't go 3 of 10 or 3 of 11 or 3 of 13 or whatever it was. But you hope that one of them gets going. But the perimeter defense of this team is really going to be a problem.
You're a former coach, and so I wonder, because it struck me before the series began, before the first game. Steve Kerr said, you know, you really can't stop Ja. He's that good a player. So we're going to pick who we take out. And it could very well be, because you've seen the coverages, it could very well be that they said, okay, we'll let Ja get his 30. I don't think they planned on Jaren Jackson Jr. to get 30, but that worked out because that's a real mismatch, which Memphis must exploit. But maybe it was their coverages and their defensive scheme that said, we're not going to let Bane and Brooks hurt us. And if that's the case, then that is something Memphis is going to have to deal with.
But then you had Melton come off the bench, and he played really well, though. So I mean, and maybe the second group's the perimeter defense isn't nearly as good as the first group, so that's also a factor there as well. But
Tyus Jones wasn't very good.
No,
either.
and he had a tough night as well. So you could see them key. I really think the perimeter defense is going to be a key in this series. Draymond coming back could make things different for Jaren, although I don't really think so because I don't think they're going to play Looney enough, especially if Steven Adams plays there. They'll play Looney a lot more probably, and that makes it a different story for Draymond on Jaren Jackson as well.
Well, you hope you get Draymond in foul trouble that way.
That's right.
Draymond last night, again, yesterday I should say, delightful, entertaining press conference. You know, he's going to be a great analyst when he's done. He's going to be the next Charles Barkley probably, because he'll get away with saying crazy things because he has done that as a player. And yesterday, I there's no repentant bone in his body. He basically said, first of all, it wasn't an F2. It should have been an F1. Well, the league disagrees, and if you go by definition, I had this argument with a person that lives in San Francisco, a big Warriors person, and they said, wow, come on, these are the playoffs. By definition, this thing had everything written as F2. The first time I saw it, I looked over at Mike Sadie. I said, that's going to be an F2. And the crowd was great. Throw him out. I mean, I've never heard that before. That was great. But when you have two areas of contact, with one hand the face and the other hand the pull down with the windup, you've got three different things here that say F2 all the way. And that's exactly what happened. But he said yesterday, I am not a victim and I'm not going to change. My life is great. I'm a 4-time All-Star. I'm a Defensive Player of the Year. I'm a champion 3 times or whatever, how many he's got. And this is the way I play. It's been successful, and I'm not changing. So that there is basically putting down your sword and saying, I ain't changing. I'm going to foul you guys like crazy. I'm going to be physical if I beat you up. I still love you. I love you, Jaren Jackson Jr. You're a Michigan Stater. Oh, I love Tillman. I can't believe he's just a second-year player. I love him, but I'm going to kill him if I have to because these are the players. So he's not changing. You got to know that aggression's going to be there. Try to use it against him, I guess, is the best way I could say. And I would love to see him banging with Steven Adams. I hope Steven Adams is able to come back tonight.
Yeah, so do I, certainly. And I think Kevin Looney honestly does too, because he only played like 15 minutes in the first game. I think he'd like to get a few more minutes as well. And I think he probably would if they had Steven Adams on the court for 20 plus 25 minutes or something like that.
Well, I honestly do not blame Draymond. Why wouldn't he say what he did? And he'll be a factor. He's their glue. He's their heart and soul.
So you thought it was a flagrant too? Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely I did. I know most, like, the national people are saying it isn't.
I didn't think it was, to be honest. I understand he hit him twice, and he did hit him in the face, and that certainly – it looked a lot worse, though, I thought, on the replay than it did in real time a little bit.
Yeah, but that's how you determine what the definition of it is.
Well, it's not any contact with the
face. Twice. He hit him twice, once in the eye. And then he grabs the jersey and he pulls down.
Yeah, that was unnecessary.
That's a wind-up and everything.
I think the grabbing of the jersey is what made it a flagrant one. Him hitting in the face, I thought it was just a foul. I don't think it was an aggressive – there was any kind of malicious intent behind it. But
that's the thing. It's a little like what they did yesterday. I don't know if you saw this in the Dallas-Phoenix game. I didn't stay up for the end either because it started like later.
Yeah.
Was it 8:30 when it started? I thought it was later than that.
It got go. Well, maybe it was a little bit later than that, honestly, because it got going. They had they don't want to start them at the same time, so you got the 20 minutes in between anyway.
So because they got to go back to Charles.
That's right.
And that pregame show and middle halftime show makes a lot of money. But if the league had the opportunity to make it an F1, which there's an amount of points that you're assessed for F1s, F2s, and technical fouls. Okay, so if you get a technical foul or an F1, you're assessed 1 point. If you get a F2, that's 2 points. An accumulation of 4 points in a series means a game suspension. So he's halfway to a game suspension already. So all you got to do is get in his head a little bit and get a technical here and there. Maybe he does it again. Who knows? He says he's not going to change any. But the league could have changed it yesterday if they didn't think it was an F2. So, and there are plenty of people, and this may be the case because this is, really what Draymond Green denied yesterday was that he's being picked on. He's a victim because of his past. I really don't think that was the case. And, so I was going back. It's to intent. If you watched last night, the Doncic, I'm trying to remember who kicked him. One of the Phoenix players went to the left elbow and elevated to shoot a 2 and inadvertently kicked Doncic.
It was Jay Crowder.
It was Jay Crowder. I love Jay Crowder. I really was sad when the Grizzlies traded Jay Crowder. I loved him in college at Marquette. I love him overachieve. I love his energy. So he kicked Doncic in the family jewels. Best way I could put it. Or what did Kevin Harlan say? Something about south of the half court line or something like that.
That's where it was.
Yeah,
though.
it was. And they came back and they made it an F1, and they were saying, especially with like kicking, that you don't rule these things on intent because you don't know intent unless it is a punch that is thrown. Then you know intent. But and back to your point on Draymond with the hit in the eye of Brandon Clark. So it's not intent. I don't think he meant to do it, but he hit him in the eye. And at the same time, he clearly meant to grab the jersey and make sure he didn't finish the play. And he wound up to do that, and he yanked him down. Yes, at the end, he tried to hold him up. But as I said yesterday, if a guy sticks the knife in a guy and then pulls it out, does he say, well, I pulled the knife out?
No, but okay, maybe intent's the wrong word. But I didn't think he wound up very much at all. But by sticking that analogy, sticking the knife in, did you actually stab him or whatever? That means any contact to the face, we're going to have to deem flagrant too if there's a foul involved. Now I get he grabbed his jersey and pulled him down.
There's
two
things.
But you can't call. There's only one foul though. Once you call one, it's either the hit in the face or it's pulling the jersey. You know what I mean? You can't do both.
I believe it's the combination of the two that make it an F2. That's what I think makes it an F2. And you can't look at intent. There's two areas of contact, wind up and pull down. That's an F2.
I didn't think he wound up. But I'm probably wrong. You know, the NBA said it was right. The refs called it a certain way. Maybe
right.
I'm just being
So first off, let's examine this. The referees are there. They have input. There's a replay official or two or three that are also involved in the initial decision, okay? And that comes out in F2. Then, because they are worried about accumulation of points with Green, they go, NBA, please review this because we think it's an F1, not an F2. Everybody in the country is saying the same thing. The NBA then takes their top supervisor of officials and replay guys and re-examines it and still comes out with an F2. So it's an F2. No doubt in my mind.
Now, if you give me the whistle, I'm only calling a 1.
All right, there you go. Well, you don't have the whistle.
I don't.
Late night tonight. One last thing on this. Late night tonight. Does that favor Golden State? Because for Memphis, it's 8:30. Poor fans. They're the ones that are really getting jobbed on this. Game probably won't start till 8:40. Halftime will be 10 o'clock or later.
I don't know if it favors the Golden State Warriors, but it certainly favors people that live in San Francisco and live in California, certainly more than us, who are going to have to be up till maybe the sun rises.
This game will be 11:30 for sure. Yeah. But here's the thing. It's 6:30 in San Francisco. So their time, it's like a regular game time.
That's right.
Does that favor body clock-wise the Warriors?
I think the Grizzlies played really well on the West Coast this year, though. Maybe not better than the Warriors because they play every game or half of their games out there. But the Grizzlies had a good West Coast trip. Maybe they're poised to play late games as well.
Can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. I want to get back to the AAC and losing schools in a minute. I'll let everybody know the vacation at home sale has earnestly begun at Family Leisure. You know, we really are enjoying our time with our families. I think the pandemic, that's the one positive that came out of it. We're trying to make our backyards a part of our home and really jazzing it up with outdoor kitchens, things of that nature. And that is exactly what this vacation at home sale is all about. Play gyms and trampolines, $500 off. Hot tubs in stock, ready to go, up to $1,000 off if you pick it up yourself. And here is for the do-it-yourselfer. That really is handy. If you want to get an above-ground pool, and they have plenty in stock, right off the deck, you pick up the pool, install it yourself, and you'll save up to $1,500. That is quite a savings. Patio furniture, by the way, in stock, ready for pickup too. All you got to do is get there, I-40 and Wooden Road. That is family leisure. So Brett McMurphy basically broke the story this morning. Cincinnati, Houston, UCF. Negotiating a $17 to $20 million settlement to join the Big 12 next year. That's 2023. When I first read it, I was thinking they were going to try to do it this year, but that is not right. Because the way it was tweeted out originally, you got to go to the Action Network where McMurphy writes to get the full scoop. If they get $20 million a school, that's $60 million that comes to the American that would be split between the schools that are staying, not the new ones, the schools that are staying in the league office. I'm guessing there's a $5 to $6 million payoff coming Memphis's way. Now, I'm sure that if they get invited to the Big 12, they'll have to repay that money, but that will be like a nice interest-free loan. We'll take it. No doubt about it. So they are hoping to get this settled with Mike Oresco. So 2023 is when the American would lose the 3 schools. The CUSA schools, there are 6 of those who are coming in. They have been given a month extension to try to figure out and negotiate their own deal with the Conference USA folks on how they can get out so they can join in 2023. And then I would imagine the schools that are coming, because they're getting some, they're also losing, like Southern Miss is going to the Sun Belt. They are really losing the majority of their good schools, but they have some others coming in. They would then, I guess, give that other group a month, and the dominoes keep falling and falling down the line. But I would suspect that if you want to watch the kind of brand of football we've been seeing the last few years, which is, as I think, has been as good as 1 or 2 of the Power 5 leagues, you could make that argument for sure, then you better enjoy it this year, because Memphis does have I think I mentioned this earlier, Houston and UCF are in Memphis this year. And unless you join the Big 12, this will probably be the last time we see that.
This seems like good business to me. You get $20 million settlement from these schools, and then the CUSA schools you're bringing in maybe have like a $1.5–3 million settlement there. Seems like just good business. You take that money, use it to get these schools in there. You come out with a net profit that's huge.
I also read the first couple of years that the CUSA schools, the 6 schools that are coming in, do not share in the TV money. I don't understand how they can feasibly do that, but if I read that correctly, I think that is the case.
What a deal for these guys.
Well, yeah, because that's $6 million almost. If you got $6 million to school, that would almost equal your TV money. So that would be like a double year.
Yeah, exactly.
Be a good year. That is for sure. All right, we got plenty to cover. Tim Doolin's going to talk baseball. Man, the New York City teams, big time in the big city, that's for sure. Yankees have won 10 in a row. We'll talk about that. I got to ask him about Southern Miss. I just mentioned Southern Miss going to the Sun Belt. You realize Southern Miss is number 7 in the country?
Best team in Mississippi.
They are the best team in Mississippi. How are they doing that? This portion of the show is brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and the 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up. You hear me talk about it every day because I believe in it. I believe you save money on your MLGW bill, and if you get tuned up twice a year, it's $69 at a crack. Your system will last longer. And these are highly technical, expensive systems. So you want it to last as long as you possibly can. All you got to do is call 384-3511. You can ask about the Comfort Club, too, because that gives you a break on service charges and priority if any emergency comes up. Conway. They've been the premier system in Memphis with heating and air conditioning and electric for years. 384-3511, you're numbered to peace of mind. Back in a minute, Tim Doolin on baseball. He's next.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Brian Elders Roofing Solutions. If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me. 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Hi, everyone. This is President Donald J. Trump, and I'd like to invite you to join me and patriots from all over the country at the American Freedom Tour in your wonderful city, Memphis, Tennessee. I will be there live and in person on Saturday, June 18th, with a conservative dream team of my son, Don, Kimberly Guilfoyle, Mike Pompeo, Candace Owens, and many more. We'll all be motivated, excited, and ready to make America great again. This historic event happens just once in Memphis on Saturday, June 18th. I hope to see you there. You cannot afford to miss this one. America's best is yet to come. So let's do it together. Go to AmericanFreedomTour.com and get your tickets now while they last. They are going to be selling very, very quickly, as usual. I love you all. I will see you there.
Go to AmericanFreedomTour.com for tickets as low as $9. And for a limited time, enter promo code AMERICA for a special discount. That's AmericanFreedomTour.com. Once again, AmericanFreedomTour.com.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. When was the last time you had your heating system cleaned? How about a safety inspection? Right now, Conway Service is offering our 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your heating system for only $69. That's right, for only $69, we'll come out and perform our 16-point energy-saving Super Tune-Up on your heating system. We'll also include a complete safety inspection using our state-of-the-art camera system, making sure your heating system is safe to operate this winter. Plus, we'll run a carbon monoxide test on your heating system, all for only $69. You can have the peace of mind knowing your heating system is safe and ready for those cold winter nights. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. That's 384-3511. Call this week and we'll perform your heating system tune-up for only $57.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkham for Sunrise Chevy. Good news for new and used car and truck buyers. The Sunrise Chevy Ranch has a great selection of new and used cars and trucks, and Sunrise specializes in low monthly payments and secondary financing. At SunriseMemphis.com, you can select your vehicle, get your trade appraised, arrange financing and delivery. We'll deliver right to your doorstep, inspected and ready to go, no matter what your past credit. Sunrise wants to get you financed. Immediate financing with next to nothing down. Need body or service work? Bring it to Sunrise or schedule an appointment online. Find new roads to Sunrise Chevy, 385 in Houston, Levy, Collierville.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Our title sponsor, as you heard, it's Homer. We're proud of that. They've been our title sponsor for a long time. That Homer Skelton Hyundai, that Hyundai technology is just the best. It's the best in the world. The Genesis cars there are spectacular, and they're getting more new cars coming in every day. And Chris True has made this pledge. He's the GM. He's got this team that's been together for, 20-something years. They are so efficient. They know the product, and they love taking care of you. Their passion is cars. And Chris says this right off the bat: you'll never pay more than sticker price on a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Not every dealership can say that. You know, the laws of supply and demand, they don't take advantage of you at Homer Skelton Hyundai. This is why they've raised the bar to what the standard should be for car business. Homer Skelton Hyundai. Man, the standard for baseball, it seems, is New York City. The Yankees have now won 10 in a row. Coming into last night's game, I don't know if they hit any homers, but they had 31 home runs in the first 22 games. This is crazy, Tim Doolin. Good morning.
Well, we've always said that on paper, especially the last several years, that the Yankees are one of the most dominant teams in the big leagues. They just hadn't been able to get over the hump and get back to the World Series. But there's no question that they are they're kicking on all cylinders right now.
The Mets are the best team in the National League. Yankees have the best record in the American League. I mean, this is a big year for New York City. Do you think this will hold up all summer?
I think there's a good chance. I mean, obviously, we got a long way to go, and it's the verdict's going to be still out for a while based on the shortened spring training. Our pitcher is going to be able to withhold the longevity of a tough season. I will say this: I think Buck Showalter has brought a tremendous amount of energy back into the Mets, not only with the Mets, but I do think that a combination of old school gut managing and the analytics portion combined, I think I hope that this is a good turn for all of baseball, to where they're seeing what Buck Showalter's doing with the New York Mets.
Speaking of the Mets, they've been hit by more pitches than any other team in the majors. Almost a brawl a couple of days ago with the Cardinals. And, my question, because it came up then, and I don't know if that's part of the power that the Yankees have, it's the baseball itself. They say the baseball is not right, that the pitchers are having more trouble controlling it. That was at least the excuse when the Mets kept getting plunked. What's going on with the baseball? Is that a part of the Yankee power? I mean, Rizzo had 3 home runs in a game. Even in Wrigley, he never did that.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I think there's probably some things that the baseball that they've struggled with, getting some consistency with the baseball. Keep in mind, Major League Baseball owns Rawlings, and Rawlings makes the Major League Baseball as well as the minor league baseball. So they have the ability to do with what the ball do to the ball what they so choose. I think more of the topic of the ball getting away from pitchers is the change that we've seen over the last couple of years, and we are teaching and wanting our pitchers to come in and max effort, throw as hard as they can for as long as they can, and then they bring another pitcher in. So pitchers aren't pitching to the strike zone as much as they are trying to throw as hard as they can. I think that's more of a factor than the baseball itself.
All right. The Cincinnati Reds are off to the second worst start in the history of baseball. They're tied with 3 other teams at 3-19. What the heck has happened in the Queen City?
Well, yeah, I think they're just trying to figure out if they truly have a big league roster, or they're trying to bet on some really young players. And David Bell is a good baseball man. It's just unfortunately for them, they've gotten off to a horrendous start, and I'm not sure if this continues, if he'll be able to survive it. And again, I don't know that it's a managerial thing. I think it's just players have to play, and the front office picks the players and goes with what they think is the best lineup. And I don't know how much they have in the minor leagues, but that's always not the answer either, to try to turn the tide.
And I can't remember if it was their president or general manager.
It was their president
that basically said threateningly to the fans. This was after the first 6-7 games. Well, they better be careful what they ask for. Now he had to rescind that.
The problem you have, Wolo, didn't mean to interrupt you, but the problem you have is when the president of the club, which is ultimately the boss, makes a statement like he did, it affects your clubhouse. Because making a comment like that is pretty simple. It's 101 customer service. You don't attack the fans. They're the ones that are paying all the bills. And so, if anything, you go to the extreme and say we've got to do a better job of competing on the field or whatever it is. And to rescind it, it has no weight.
So he
said it.
He's a lame duck, isn't he? I mean, he's dead man
walking.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, if he's the president, I don't know what kind of power he has, but obviously he spoke out of turn and for sure regrets what he said.
I don't know what the crowds in Cincinnati are like, but I could see the fans turning, especially when you're 3-19. All right, college baseball. You are definitely our expert in that. And Tennessee's number 1 in the country. Arkansas is number 4. I'm amazed at this. Southern Miss is number 7 in the country. They are the best team in the state of Mississippi. How is that happening?
Well, they've got a great staff that really understands the type of players that they need. They do a great job of coaching their players up, and so they're not going after the player that is prototypical an SEC player or a first or second round draft choice. They know they can't get that player. They can't compete with from a recruiting standpoint. So their culture that they've built there over the last several years, they've always been good. They're in regionals probably 2 out of 3 years, but they've just done a great job of recruiting and understanding the type of player that they can win with, and it's working. And they've always been very competitive. And you look at facilities; their facilities aren't special. They sure don't compete with the SEC, but it's good to see teams like Southern Miss that are mid majors. That if I were Memphis, I would say, if they can do it, we can do it.
Well, I was just going to say that. Look at whatever their model is. Look at that and think, heck, we can certainly duplicate, if not better it, because potentially there's a lot more fan base they've got here, and I know they're sprucing up the facilities. That's coming, but if Southern Miss can do it in Hattiesburg, Memphis should be able to do it in this burg.
No, there's no doubt, and I think I think the administration has definitely acknowledged that and understand that. And what's funny is to see, to just say that the norm is let's go get a top of the line SEC recruiting coordinator or an SEC assistant. That's not always the answer, Will. I mean, because you're talking about if he's been in the SEC, he's been able to recruit with facilities and with a league. It's a different animal at Memphis, at Southern Miss. So you really need to find a guy that understands what he's walking into, and his ability to develop and coach up and recruit the player that's going to help get you there. I think is more important than the glitz and glamour of saying we just hired an SEC assistant coach.
Oh, I'd also love to know what the finance is like. How much commitment, money-wise, does Southern Miss put into that program compared to the University of Memphis?
Yeah, I don't know, but I wouldn't think that it's. I don't think it's a lot more than what Memphis has, or I do believe Memphis is willing to put more money into it. And look, Memphis fans are great. They support winners. And when I was there, we were ranked as high as 5th in the country, and we filled up McCarver Stadium against Florida State. And you've been right there with me, Well, yeah. You've seen it. If you win, they will support it, and they're yearning to support more successful stories in the Memphis market. So I do think that the administration is aware they're going to have to put some money in the coffers, and also they understand they've got to upgrade facilities. However, again, facilities are not going to I don't think is what's going to get Memphis on the map. The ability for a coach to say, look, here's what I've done. I've developed players. I've got players that I've sent to the major leagues. And I'm really good at on-field, managing. And yeah, recruiting is going to be important, but you got to know who you're recruiting to be able to convince them. Because if not, you're spinning your wheels trying to recruit an SEC prospect. You're not going to get that guy. You might get him in the portal, but you're not going to get him initially.
Mm-hmm. In the meantime, by the top 25 rankings, Tennessee and Arkansas are clearly the two best teams in the SEC.
Oh, there's no question. Tennessee is one of the top stories and the most complete teams I've seen since some of Tim Corbin's teams over the last several years. I mean, Tony Vitello has done a great job, obviously, of marketing, raising money, upgrading facilities, recruiting, but he's recruited the right player. And much like we're talking about Memphis and Southern Miss, when he took that job, Tennessee was not in the cellar, but they weren't far from it. And he had a game plan and has executed it in a very rapid amount of time. They pitch it, they hit it, they play defense. They've got power. They've got starting pitching and relief pitching. They got a reliever that throws over 100 miles an hour. So it's not fun knowing you're going to play Tennessee for 3 games. I can tell you.
He is Tim Doolin. He's our guy on baseball, both college and MLB. Thank you, Tim. Have a great weekend, and we'll chat next Tuesday.
All right, well, thanks.
Thank you. That is Tim Doolin. He's brought to you by Memphis City Golf. I love how Memphis loves golf, including our own government. Overton, it's getting redone. That'll open up in July. Pine Hill, completely being renovated. Hopefully it'll open up late fall. Fox Meadows is getting new greens. That'll start taking place in about 2 weeks. Public golf has never been better. There's a new app, by the way, for your phone, Memphis Public Links, where you can make tee times, you can view special offers, get tournament information, find out the latest golf news, and virtually stay in touch. You can download it at the Apple Store, or you can get it on Google Play. And there are several new golf tournaments this year. The Mayor's Cup. There's going to be a Player of the Year on point throughout the year. You just can't beat Memphis golf. Galloway's in perfect shape. If you ever play Audubon right in the Poplar Corridor, it's a true test for every level of golfer. The city has invested in public golf like never before. So if you haven't played a city course in a while, try it. I assure you, you're going to love it. Memphis City Golf. We pause for a second. When we come back, our final session this season, because we got him on a lifetime contract, Mike DeCourcy, the Hall of Famer for the Sporting News, on a myriad of college athletic topics. He comes your way in just a minute.
Let former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy take you home every afternoon with Sports Time on Sports 56. Weekdays from 3 to 6 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Esquire magazine just declared this the era of the great steakhouse, and Memphis happens to boast one of the finest steakhouses in the country at 117 Prime. Perfect steaks cooked over seasoned hickory wood for the ultimate flavor. The experience doesn't stop with the great steaks. There's also the seafood towers. You heard that right, seafood towers with oysters, clams, lobster tails, tuna tartare, and crab claws. They're a stunning sight and a dining delight. Add in the sommelier curated wine list designed to complement the world-class steaks, and you have a meal to remember. You have 117 Prime.
Barks now offers you just about everything you need for your furry family member. Daycare, luxury boarding, award-winning grooming, veterinary checkups, diagnostic services including digital x-ray, fluoroscopy, and ultrasound, complete dental service, vaccinations, preventative care for fleas, ticks, and heartworms, and just about any needed surgical treatment. And did I mention that we treat cats and all types of exotic pets? We are the newest member of the Barks family and the newest, most high-tech veterinary hospital in the Mid-South. Located directly across the street from Barks and Recreation, we are a full-service hospital with a fantastic, experienced staff. If you're having problems getting a timely appointment at your current vet's facility, we are here to serve you. Call us at 901-979-8888. Barks and Medication. Excellence in veterinary care.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Always sad, changes of season, part of life. But this is our last get-together until next year with the Hall of Famer from the Sporting News, Mike DeCourcy, but as I said earlier, I think, Mike, I have you on a lifetime contract with the break, like until October. Is that correct? just want to make sure I had that right.
Something like that.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a little bit about what you think are going to be the top 2 or 3 storylines for next year. But there's an unbelievable story. It was just a matter of time before it happened, and that is the Isaiah Wong story at Miami, who has been very bold with his agent, who, by the way, has like 120 deals going. This is an NIL agent. And this guy, Isaiah Wong, has basically said through his agent that my NIL deal with the University of Miami and this guy, John Ruiz, who's a billionaire, who loves Miami and is providing all kinds of money for basically nothing for guys to come. It's legal now, at least the way it is set up. This guy says, I'm not coming back unless I get my deal rewritten, because there's another guy coming from Kansas State who's going to make $800,000 in a car, and I'm approving. I'm the second leading scorer on the team. I'm second all team ACC, and I got a bad deal. I mean, this is crazy stuff. This is where we are.
Yeah, how'd that go for him, by the way?
I don't think it went well.
It did not go well. Yeah, he's going to be back on the team making what he's made, and maybe there'll be others that help him close the gap with Nigel Pack. I don't know, but I'm sorry, I got no sympathy for Isaiah Wong.
Yeah.
If he wants to go somewhere else, he's free to go. There's enough freedom that when one doesn't like the deals of that he or she signs, it's hard to muster much sympathy.
Doesn't there have to be some uniformity and guidelines for this deal? I am certainly happy that athletes, labor, if we want to be technical here, labor gets their fair share. I'm okay with that, 100%. But you can't structure it where there's one billionaire at a school that can buy everybody. You got to have some guidelines, don't you?
Well, the problem with that, Dave, is that the only entity that is capable of putting guidelines in place is the United States Congress. That's it. That's all we got. Anything else, like people crying for the NCAA to do something, they cannot. Can't happen. The Alston case said, yeah, you go ahead, dip a finger into this pool and see how big the shark is that rips off your arm. That's what they said. The Supreme Court said that in the Alston case, which was 10 months ago. So the NCAA is like, not our problem. We're not getting, we've been sued enough. We've lost enough. The Supreme Court's made clear what would happen if we did something else. And so this is the landscape as it is now. Now, if you want to blame the NCAA for its inaction in 2014, especially beginning then when the O'Bannon case was sent to court, and they could have. Yeah, I spoke to the lead attorney, one of the lead attorneys for the O'Bannon group for that class in that case when the Alston case happened last year, and he said that at the time that it went through pretrial motions and it was set for court, the O'Bannon group went to the NCAA, made a call, and said, "Look, we don't want to go to court necessarily. We'd like, because we're not here to get money. This is about change as much as anything." And that's why Bill Russell signed on, and that's why Oscar Robertson signed on, and that's why Ed O'Bannon lent his name to the class. And what the NCAA's reaction was, Dave, they didn't take the meeting. They weren't interested. And that's like going into the championship, going to the Final Four, and not doing any scouting report. Just saying, "Hey, man, we're the best team in the country. We don't need to do any prep. We don't need practice. We don't need prep. Let's just go ball." And you know how that would turn out,
right?
So that's what happened. They got clobbered in the O'Bannon case, cost them, I think, more than $200 million in the end. And then the Alston case, they got eviscerated. And I don't know even that they lost much money in it. I'm not sure. I mean, other than legal fees and such.
Right.
But that set the stage for this, where they are powerless to do anything.
It's almost like the pendulum swinging. And I've seen this many, many times historically. politically and other facets of life where you go from one extreme to the other before the pendulum swings back to the middle. I think that's where we are. I don't see how this can be sustainable, and maybe it'll take an act of Congress, but something's got to be done. I don't know if the first step was Emmerich stepping down. I thought that was confusing, considering a year ago they extended him for 4 years, and now he's stepping down after one. I don't believe that was his decision.
Yeah, well, if I went back, and he retired at just the wrong time because I wasn't in position to write, but I could have done like a 10 greatest hits of all the mistakes he's made. I mean, and they are just absolutely. I mean, they are shaking the foundation of college sports, but. The idea that it's not sustainable, Dave, I mean, what does that mean? That eventually the boosters will stop paying the money because they don't want, because they're not getting any value out of it, and maybe their team, maybe they stop paying the money. But if they do, that just means athletes get less money. Okay, I can live with that. I mean, that's not a problem. Is it not sustainable in the sense that that we'll see power concentrated at certain schools? I mean, I keep getting that. It's like, have you seen the fields for the college football playoff? It's Alabama, Oklahoma, Clemson, and Ohio State.
Right.
Some variation of that group every year.
I saw your tweet on that. What was it, 65%?
65% of the positions in the playoffs since it began in 2014 have gone to those 14.
Well, here's some fundamental issues, okay, that I haven't really heard brought up, but it's evident to me. And that is within, and maybe this is not for the ultra-wealthy schools, but a school like Memphis, you've literally got your fundraiser versus your coaches for booster dollars. That can't continue to happen at a school the size of Memphis that is pressed trying to survive.
Yeah, that's a problem.
You're
right, Dave. That is a problem. I mean, like when I see that, like relative to the SEC, like, oh, your donors are putting all their money in getting you players and not in getting you a new locker room. I'm like, have you seen their TV contract? There is no money problem in the SEC. There will be none in the biggest conferences, and there may be some in the like in the new Big 12 or whatever. And I think that's problematic for Memphis. But again, it comes down to here's the thing: you were trying to keep up with the Joneses before, building locker rooms and all that stuff, so you'd look good like they look good. Well, now they're getting players not because of their locker rooms, but because they offered, presumably the wide receiver or the All-American wide receiver a $2 million NIL deal. Right. Well, that's okay. So you're just still keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak. It's just going in a different place.
Well, you're going to have to buy playmakers if you're going to get fans. That to me is, and I don't know if a smart AD comes by, he's going to have to go get those coaches with their fundraisers, and he's going to go, guys, we got to split it down the middle. We're a team. I guess that is what is the ultimate outcome of all this, unless there are some guidelines that end up being put into place. It's crazy. Since you mentioned the new Big 12, Brett McMurphy with the breaking story that it looks like they'll be gone after this coming season. I hope that's for the whole year, because the way that thing was worded, I don't know if basketball will be in the AAC this year. What do you think ultimately happens? Is this the last wave? Is there still hope for Memphis in the long run here?
Well, I mean, I think that some of it depends on what the television negotiations go like for the new Big 12, and would it help them to have the Memphis market, that sort of thing. I'll never say never, because there's always so much change.
Yeah.
I totally resist the whole idea that college athletics is in for basic fundamental change in terms of the division or separation of the powers from the NCAA. I reject that until somebody can put on paper for me what they get out of leaving the NCAA. Until somebody can put on paper for me what they get. Not, they get to keep all the money. They already do. In football, they get every dollar.
Yep.
I mean, basically, they have to pay a sanctioning fee, which I compare to, the $5 bill I leave on the dresser when I leave a hotel room for the cleaning crew. I mean, it's nothing to the college football establishment to pay that sanction fee. You look at idea as well of the fact that these contracts are getting so lucrative, and the SEC being the model right now, the one that we have in place. They're not going to walk away from that money. And then there's the value of the NCAA in terms of what it does do well, which is championships, and as well as the liability shield. If you take your own 70 schools or whatever, and you go do your own association, you've got to find a building, you've got to hire people, you got to pay them, you got to write a whole new rule book. And when somebody comes to sue you, and they always do, it's you they're taking the money out of, not the NCAA with its huge bank account. It's you, and you're a startup, so it's coming right out of your pocket. You want that? Really? For what? Like, to do what? You get all the money, you make your own rules. There's nothing standing in your way right now of doing things the way you want to do them, as the Power Five or whatever you want to call it. They do everything they want. They get to keep all the money. So there's no reason at this point for them to leave. And I keep hearing that it'll happen, but no one has ever given me a reason why it would.
It's too logical not to, but it's never been all that logical in college athletics. Last thing, you got 1 minute, and that is your favorite storyline or two for next year.
Yeah, I think the first is, basically who will be good. I mean, we don't know until all this settles down who's going to be really good. We know Carolina's going to be up there, and probably Kentucky, and Creighton is making a late push to be up there. But I think that's going to be part of it. And then the next part is, like, who becomes the king of coaches, so to speak. I mean, Jay Wright was standing right there.
Yeah, he was.
And it was, I had already said, as Mike was winding down, I started comparing him to Jack Nicklaus winning the Masters at 46. He still had it. He still was Jack Nicklaus, but he wasn't the best in the game anymore. And Mike was still, the greatest ever, but not the best in the game in his last year. That had become Jay, and it looked like it was going to be him. And now he's not there. So who becomes that person? Is it John Calipari? Is it Bill Self? Is it somebody else?
I'm going to throw out a name who may be in the Big 12 before it's all said and done, but Kelvin Sampson will have a bigger stage. He's got a great team coming back with Sasser and Mark, and he's got a 5-star post player that's coming in. And you look at him, he's already got how many wins? He's got over 700 wins, doesn't he? Something like that.
He's getting there, yeah. And he's somebody who's done it other than his abortive stint at
Indiana,
at UCL, at Indiana. I mean, Washington State and Oklahoma and Houston are, when he went to those places, it's not like they were towering giants.
No, he's terrific. It's always terrific chatting with you. I'm going to miss you for a few months, but we'll pick it back up in October.
I'll look forward to it. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you. That is Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, brought to you by Ken Garland. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Here's another guy that is just so interesting. You hear about guys that see little details and the big picture all at once. His picture is in the dictionary for that definition. That's what he is. He knows so much. He's been doing this for 50 years now. You're ready to build that dream home, he's your guy. You're looking for land for it, he's got it. You're not sure how to utilize the land that you have. Maybe it's been in your family for years. He knows exactly what to do. Maybe you want to keep your house, but you want to renovate it because you want the modern amenities. You love the location. You don't want to move. He can bring all the modern amenities to your home and make it a modern palace. All you got to do is go to kengarland.com. Please go there first just to see what I'm talking about, and then call him, 751-1632. He's your guy for any kind of dream home. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. We thank Mike. We thank Tim Doolin. We'll do it again tomorrow. Johnny Radio's next. Have a great day, everyone.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis.